Hello everybody, Robin Nichols here with another exciting Photoshop Elements tutorial for you. Well, I hope it's going to be exciting. We're going to look at cropping today, and cropping is probably the least exciting thing in Photoshop Elements, but it's a really cool thing because it allows you to, I suppose, recompose your picture after you've shot the image. So you can kind of think, oh gee, I didn't want all that stuff on the right hand side or the left hand side, I want to crop people out. One of the things that I see a lot in classes is this desire to crop people out. So for example, here we are, here are some effigies left over from the Italian ruin of Pompeii. And if I choose the crop tool, which is down here on the left hand side in version 11, it's a little bit further up the toolbar in previous versions, but hey, it's easy to spot. It's that funny sort of geometric sort of fish shape, I think. If I were to do this and think, I just want this woman, I just wanted this woman, okay? So something like that, no problem at all. But look what happens. 60.2 M, that's 60 million pixels, 60 megabyte file from my Canon EOS 5D Mark II. So I press OK, brilliant, that's the picture I want. But it's gone down to 22.1. So I've lost 2/3 of the picture in order to get that. Now, for most people that's not a problem. If I'm going to print this 6x4, 5x7, 6x9, 10x8, 12x16 inches, A4, A3, no problem. It's just not going to have quite as many pixels. The fewer pixels you have in the picture, the less wiggle room you have if I wanted to do a little bit of sort of semi-drastic editing to it. So the more pixels you have, the better. And B, it does restrict me ultimately in the size that I want it to go. I mean, clearly a picture like this, I'm not going to go bigger than about 5x7 inches anyway, because it's just a sort of general interest picture. But you get the point. If you crop drastically, you're going to lose a lot of pixels. So as a rule of thumb, I always say to people, look, fine, crop away, recompose it, no problem at all. And you can use this amazing rule of thirds cropping overlay that they have in the crop tool these days, but don't take more than about 20% out. Okay, so maybe, you want to do something like that. I don't know, but you crop down like that, and then you've still got a decent sized shot. It's still 45.5 megabytes. Still got loads of pixels in there, but you haven't completely, ruined the shot. As it were, in terms of reducing the resolution. A lot of you may never actually get to the point of printing your pictures, but certainly if you're going to print them on supersize A3, for example, which is 13 by 19 inches, it's a really nice big size print. If you chop, half the pixels out, what will happen is the picture will just go ever so soft, and it's really hard to pull back the quality that you had when you had the full 21 megapixel, or rather 60.5 RGB image. Alright, but the crop tool is very, very handy, and as you can see here in Elements 11, we've got the toolbar is down at the bottom now. Yeah, not the toolbar, the options bar, I should say, the options bar. Not quite sure why they've done that, but anyway, it's down at the bottom. So what we can do is this. I can choose rule of thirds, or I can choose to draw a grid. This is a little bit scary, that one. Or I can choose to use this one, the golden ratio. Wow. And this is a painter's compositional tool that works on the basis of 1, 3, 5 and so on, and works its way around this kind of circle. So to me, the most beautiful sort of shape that you ever invented by nature is the Nautilus seashell. I'm sure you know what I'm talking about, and this adheres to this golden mean, or the golden ratio, perfectly, just because of the proportions of the shell emanating from the inside and then curling around the outside and coming down to the bottom. So we can use that, or we can just use nothing at all. Now you'll notice to the right of that is the custom. It says custom, no restriction. No restrictions mean I can of course crop it into any funny sort of shape. I can even crop it rotated, something like that, if I wanted to do that. Of course I don't want to do that, but you can do it. So there. But we also have the ability to set certain crop ratios. Okay, so I use a photo ratio. Okay, so basically that is going to lock in. So whatever you crop, it's going to be 4:3 or 12:9, whatever the proportions of your photo in. And that's a really useful thing, photo ratioing. See here, I click and I can wiggle the corner up or down, and it won't allow me to make it go higher or longer unless the other one becomes higher or longer, proportionally. So it keeps your proportions in, which is quite kind of a nice little feature. You will find that life deals us a savage blow sometimes, simply because, for example, if you're putting your pictures into a digital photo book, the holes or window apertures or the templates they give you are never the same shape as your camera's sensor shape. And that's increasingly so because cameras are kind of veering towards 16:9 widescreen TV sort of format, and we're still working with these kind of sort of semi-photographic 4:3 proportion format. See, there's no big deal about that, but it's just something to be aware of. Now, a feature I use really quite a lot in the cropping tool is the ability to actually put in your own dimensions. And so, for example, if I wanted to include this in an HD video somehow, and I just wanted to slot it in, there's no point in me slotting in a 60 megabyte frame in something that's only about 4.5 megabytes when it's on the screen. So it's kind of complete and utter overkill. So what I would do here is I'd get hold of the W, the width, and I would just type in, for example, something like 1280, and I'd put in the letters PX for pixels. Okay, and then the height would be 1080, 1080p or PX pixels. All right, 72 dots per inch, of course, because that's just video. So if I do that, then you can see again, I've locked the proportions off incorrectly in this case. I need to go back in 1280 by 1080. It's got to be 1920, something of that nature. There we go. And get in here and create an HD video frame like that. And then I'm going to click it. Bang, goes smaller. You can see it goes down to 5 megabytes, 6 megabytes, and that's perfect for dropping in to an HD video production because it'll fit absolutely perfectly. I see so many slideshows and so many videos where people haven't done this, and of course what happens is you get these big black lines down the left and the right hand side. It's a very ugly look. So by all means, it's a really good idea. And of course what it's done is it's stripped the pixels out so that we've only got 72 pixels per inch, which is perfect for screen view, and 1920 by 1080 pixels. So that's a really neat way of using this cropping tool. Okay, moving on. And as you can see here, it's been saved as a custom. Unfortunately, Photoshop Elements is not the sort of program where you can save all these as presets. If you upgrade to Photoshop CS, of course, you can do that. Now, one other thing before we go is I'm just going to reset this to no restriction at all. And I'm going to get rid of the toolbar. This is just a little tip. If I click and I drag and I just pull it all the way through the picture and right off the other side, it actually won't go further than the border of the photo. Kind of makes sense that really, because I can't crop the background because the background belongs to Photoshop Elements, whereas the photo is it's just something that's stored elsewhere. So if I then say yeah, go on, crop. Okay, nothing happens because you can't crop an entire picture. If I do this and then stop like that and say crop, of course it's going to do that. But the reason I'm showing you this, or whatever, is this. I'm going to just start again. I'm going to try this. I'm going to crop the entire image, and then I'm going to pull this out a little bit further. Wow, as a second movement, and I'm going to try and get those edges exactly the same. Guess what I'm going to do? I'm going to put a border onto this image. So now when I click OK, it's going to apply a white border. Wow, because it's extended the canvas because I've pulled that crop marquee off. You saw what I did before when I rotated it and I accidentally sort of went off the canvas like that. So when I click OK, it's going to put a bit of extra canvas up there. So that's how this little technique works. Drag it through first, then come back and give it a different go, and be just sort of, the only problem here is you have to eyeball this. You can't really, put a mathematical concept in there and just put in some numbers and get it perfect all the way around. I can use the arrows on the keyboard to shift it to left and right, up or down. Okay, and then I'm going to click OK. Now, before you click OK, you have to make sure that you've got white as the background color, because that's the background color. Remember, the canvas is like underneath the photo, and we're just going to extend that out from underneath it. If you get to this point, you go, oh my God, it's gone bright pink or something, and you've got the wrong color. You then have to cancel it, change the color. So you have to set the color first, then do this cropping bit. Then you go, wow, I've made a brilliant little edge there. And that's the story all about the cropping tool.